What if I told you the hottest game in the world, or at least on Steam, was a Pokemon Arc clone? Palworld has, at least as of the time of making this video, had 19 million players in 2 weeks. Starfield, 2077, Baldur's Gate, you name it. To put it into perspective, Palworld had so many players, it holds the #2 spot of most concurrent players in a Steam game ever in history. Only beaten by pubG when it was free to play. Pretty high standards, just like the high standards you have for videos on YouTube. A reason why you should sub to the channel as we get better and better with our content and get closer and closer to 400 subscribers. Man, I'm getting better with these transitions. And I believe it's easily a huge home run, even while in early access. So while we go over the lore, story, and gameplay of Palworld, let's discuss if this is a game that you should try yourself. Sit back and relax, everyone. Let's talk about Palworld. Palworld starts off simple enough. You boot up the game, jump into the world, and get met with a very intriguing yet mysterious statement from a tablet you find on the ground. The towers are the key, the tree holds the truth. Right away, I was hooked. Thrown into a world, and the first thing I met with is lore, and God, I love it. So towers are the key. All right, sure, simple enough. There are 5 towers thrown about the map. Think of them as boss fights, each tower holding a pal and a pal trainer. Now, real quick, record scratch, I'm going to give you the lore in the best way I can, because you see, this game tells its lore the same way Arc does. And for those of you who don't have lives, you know exactly where I'm headed with this. And for those of you who actually see the sunlight in Arc, the lore is explained by what's called explorer notes. These notes come from Helena, Rockwell, Mayan, and Minerva. Each character tells their own tale on the island, and it's by finding each of their notes, all from their own point of view, that you get the true story of what happened when the island was a place that was a lot more populated. Palworld, or what it's actually called, the Galapagos Islands, works the exact same way. Not only do I have our main explorer, who from my understanding is either A, dead, or B, on the same island that this magical tree is on. I'll give you my reasoning for that in a bit. You also got the boss's stories, each of which are unique. Zoe and Grisble, a story on how an innocent girl chose to free a captured pal that was most likely going to be sold. Lily and Lalene's story is about a woman who thought the capture of pals and forcing them to work was wrong, and after saving a pal from being hunted by poachers, met who she called the Queen of the Lilies, enter Liline. Victor and Shadow Bee contains a story about one insane and mentally disturbed mission to create the strongest being imaginable, leading to a monster so strong it not only most likely killed one of the researchers, but is also a monster of its own, so different it can't even be considered a pal anymore. You also got Marcus and Falarius, Marcus being what I assume is a drug lord, selling it back to the people only to arrest said people on drug charges and sell them the exact same product only to repeat the cycle. And last but not least, Axel and Zerk, the brothers of the Eternal Pyre Tower. Now look, man, for this story to make sense, we need to look at it through the eyes of our mysterious guide known to his notes as the Castaway. His journey starts with Journal Day XX, where he states after re-examining the globe's geographical features for research, he noticed what was seemingly an empty area where there should have been a landmass. Knowing something should be there and confused on how seemingly nobody else noticed it, this is important, remember this later, he spent a few months, packed his things, and was able to successfully guess where the location of this island was. But it's in day 0 where we learn the fate of our adventurer. See, the closer he got to the island, the thicker the fog got, to a point where it was so bad, you couldn't tell where the fog ended and the ocean began. Attempting to steer away from the fog didn't work either, as he just kept getting worse and worse until his boat was attacked and completely destroyed, yet he somehow managed to wash up on shore, and just as he expected, the island he found was absolutely massive. So massive, it should have been impossible for it not to show up on any known maps or globes. An island hidden from the rest of the planet. This is assumed by Castaway to be intentional, but it's on day 2 where we finally get some real names. See, it's on day 2 where Castaway first discovered the Pal Sphere, and after throwing it and capturing a creature, found that when he started building, this strange creature that seemingly doesn't exist anywhere else on the globe began to help him. Wanting to deepen the bond with this creature, it chose to give it and the rest of its kind the name Pals, and in turn gave the entire island the name Galapagos Island, this being the same island you find yourself on. And we know this because in other explorer notes, he states how it's very, very strange that other animals, regular ass creatures, exist outside of this island. It's only on the Galapagos Island where the only creatures that you find are these creatures he's dubbed the name Pals. Now, Castaway has been here for a while, and he's built a few few things, the deer saddle and the PAL storage box being a few, but we also learn that Castaway isn't the first person here, as all throughout the map you can find what seems to be ruins of an ancient civilization. Even Castaway brings it up on multiple occasions. But it's in day 13 that Castaway has been here for a while, and he's starting to have some theories about what happened to the island and the people that used to call it home. He's boiled it down to basically three possibilities. A, either a natural disaster, B, a struggle for scarce pals and resources, or what he believes to be the correct answer is that it has to do with all the teleportation. See, for each tower and fast travel point, you teleport from place to place. He calls it spatial teleportation. He believes it's similar to how the PAL spheres work. His theory is that at some point in time, way back in Palworld's early days, this ancient civilization used and abused this teleportation power and pushed it far more than it should have been, to the point no human or PAL could control it any longer. This, in his eyes, would explain why there's little to no people, yet the entire island is more or less intact, seeming having crumbled to time instead of war or conflict. However, things get really strange in day 38, and what I assume to be his last note from our traveler, Castaway. By now, he's journeyed far from the place he first drifted ashore at, and he comes face to face with a giant statue of what seems to be a PAL. This is where the wildest part of this all comes together, and that's that not only did these ancient people seemingly live and work together as equals with these PALs, but some were even seen as gods, symbols of worship. And this already is huge, because you have to think, if these people actually mastered teleportation and have siphoned themselves off from the rest of the globe, compared to everyone else, they might as well be gods, much less these creatures that they live amongst. And if this wasn't the case, why go out of their way to build these giant statues? It's not just one, there's at least two others. Now, to go out of their way, a highly advanced civilization to the point of mastering teleportation and seemingly hiding an entire island large as hell with a gigantic tree you could easily see from miles in the middle of the ocean from the rest of the planet. Remember, in day XX, we're told this island doesn't exist on any known map or globe. They chose to, what seems like willingly, worship these creatures. I can only make one of two assumptions. Either A, these PALs are incredibly strong, so strong they could level nations and defeat armies in mere seconds, or they were owned or working with whoever was king or queen of Palworld. I'm leaning more towards leveling nations and defeating armies, because you see, some of the thing about PALs is that PALs are smart, extremely smart, if not smarter than humans, and if you have a being that's as smart as you, if not smarter, that has the ability to wipe out your entire civilization in, let's just say, half an hour, yeah man, I can kind of get it. But you see, what really confuses me is that Castaway talks about this ancient people, but if you remember in the beginning, he said it doesn't exist on any known map or globe. So whoever was here and however they got here, they willingly chose to hide this island immediately afterwards. But what's interesting is in day 12 part 3, Castaway talks about finally making it to the tower, a tower they have been trekking to for some time now, and when getting near the tower, a similar energy to that of Paldeum ore seemed to flow throughout the entire area. However, when investigating a stone inscribed slab, he was seemingly teleported into an unknown area and found themselves face to face with an enormous PAL and human in control of it. They, as any normal person would, ran away terrified before reality kicked in and they found themselves at the foot of the tower. Now, at first, I thought this could be Lily and the Lean. Is the tower that you find this at? And it is their tower, but that doesn't make sense. Castaway and their journals are clearly old, a few years at least. Since you find zero evidence of Castaway being around anymore, and Lily and the Lean have taken control of the tower, I have to assume semi-recently. As we know in Lily Everhart's diary, she met Lileen by complete accident with what seems to be, at least to me, the same tower Castaway ran into in the background of her photo of Lileen. See, the short version is Everhart over here hates the idea of PAL spheres, but she does refer to them as PALs, as stated in Lily's diary number 3, where she starts her cult/community, the Free PAL Alliance. But if we remember, Castaway is the one who gave the PALs their name, not Lily. I'm assuming Castaway is the one who normalized the name PALs, and the rest of the island picked up on it as as they journeyed throughout the land, and this isn't even the only tower. If Castaway ran into this tower and some random ass dude and Pal was there, I have to assume that the other towers were this way too, and the bosses that we run into defeated the previous tower's owners and then took them over in the process, because there's no way Lily was there before Castaway was. You can't start the free Pal alliance if the word Pal wasn't even there to begin with until Castaway first got on shore. This journey essentially is what Palworld's story is all about, following the path of Castaway as they tried to unlock the secrets of the towers and the truth about the tree. As our mission is told, the towers are the key and the tree holds the truth. But now that you know Palworld's story, or at least a good overview, let's talk about gameplay. You see, the gameplay is pretty simple. You walk around the map gathering stone, wood, and use them to build tools, workbenches, pal spheres, the whole thing. And of course, we can't forget the pals that wander around the map. They level anywhere from 1 to 50, with pals being easier to catch the lower the level and the higher your capture rate is. That can be adjusted with little lip monks that you find around the map as a collectible. You can then use said pals to help fight in battle, build stuff in your farm, force them to work for you forever while they eat his berries. Got some pretty interesting options. The loop is essentially forge, build, capture, battle, repeat. However, what Palworld does to keep you interested is the pals are unique not only in the day and night cycle built into the game, but also with world bosses and dungeons scattered around the map, with some pals only being found in these areas, along with each pal also has a stat or area it's good at. Some are better at planting seeds while others are better at mining. Now, one thing I want to nip in the ass right now is Palworld is not Pokemon. Sorry, but it isn't. And I don't want you going into this playing this game expecting that idea. Yes, it does have creature collection and some pals are eerily close to Pokemon. I mean, come on, let's all be real for a second. Rip off aside, Palworld is not Pokemon. If anything, Palworld is far more closer to Ark Survival Evolved and Ascended than Pokemon. Pals can be bred, allowing you to pass good passive skills onto the eggs that also need to be incubated. Your crafting, the building is similar, foraging for resources is similar, and for official servers, at least for Steam, Xbox, y'all are going through it right now. But while offline, eggs take longer to incubate. It's a survival game, but a survival game that rewards your time. See, the thing about Ark is shit takes forever to get done. Check the video I made on my Ark days to get a rough idea, but to summarize, things take on so much time, you end up splitting into different roles solely to make things easier and take less time. While Palworld, you can essentially do everything yourself. Yes, 100% you can group up, but you don't have to. You can have all the fun collecting pals, breeding for stronger ones, exploring the world, battling the tower bosses all on your own, and that's something I can respect from a game like Palworld. But leveling is where things get a bit more difficult. See, going from level 1 to 30 is easy, especially with all the crafting and base building we both know you plan to do. Chances are high you're gonna be about level 15 by the time you even remember the towers exist. And with a built-in tutorial that gets you into base building, pal collection, and even finishes with you challenging Zoe and Grisbolt, the game does a really good job of getting you ready for the challenges ahead. Add in the ability to find fruit around the island that allows you to teach any move to any pal. You can build your team however you wish, and some pals even do get unique and special moves, but hitting higher levels can be a bit of a grind. Hitting those high 30s and even entering the 40s can be hard, but are extremely rewarding. But in my opinion, it's not this that made Palworld popular. It's the fact that Palworld is just fun. It's not trying to be a graphical showcase. It's not trying to have the best story in modern gaming. It's just trying to be fun. And let's be honest, modern games hasn't really been fun in a while, for the sake of being fun at least. Lately, it's either been all about the graphics, all about the customization, all about the story. Very few games lately have just been fun for the sake of being fun. But overall, should you play Palworld? And honestly, yeah, man, I think you should. This game has a ton of potential, even while still in early access. Me personally, something I believe will really keep the game going is the Pal Arena and raid bosses. PvP too, yeah, sure. But the Pal Arena, allowing you to take pals you've used on your journey and pit them against others, sounds really cool. And so does the idea of raid bosses for endgame content. I'm very impressed with how much they care about Palworld and how much money they seem to be putting into it and time. And I think it'll honestly really pay off in the end. But honestly, man, that's it. That is my video on Palworld. I had a lot of fun playing this game, and I know everyone had a lot of fun. I mean, hell, look at those Steam numbers, man. They are absolutely asinine. But overall, I'm just glad I finally got this video out the door, and give a huge thanks to Hellish, the editor of this channel, for putting in that amazing ass work. We love all of you, and thank you so much for checking out this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you all next time. Goodbye, everyone.